Have you ever felt like you're moving mountains in silence, giving everything you've got, yet it seems like no one even notices? Like each day you wake up, gear up for an internal battle against laziness, self-doubt, fear, and frustration, all without a single witness. Or maybe you've asked yourself this haunting question late at night. What's the point, if no one sees my effort? You wake up early, maybe while it's still dark outside. You resist the overwhelming urge to stay under the covers. You push past that heavy voice, whispering, rest a little more, or what difference does it make? You keep going through disappointment, through exhaustion, through the thick fog of uncertainty. And yet, there's no recognition, no cheering, no validation. It's just you and the quiet. And in that quiet, a question lingers. A question that eats at your motivation. Is it even worth it? The truth. Yes, it is worth it. But only if you understand one crucial truth. Real strength doesn't shout. It doesn't demand attention. It builds itself silently. The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't the ones always talking. They're the ones who show up without needing a spotlight. The ones who push limits when no one is watching. They don't chase claps or applause, chase growth. These people live by a philosophy that predates modern self-help by over 2,000 years. Stoicism, a way of life rooted in inner power, emotional mastery, and fierce discipline. So if you're the one fighting quiet wars, waking up tired, doubting your own progress, feeling invisible, this message is for you. Because in that silence, you won't just find peace. You'll discover something stronger than hype or quick fix motivation. You'll find mental clarity. You'll find your core. And one day, the results of your quiet persistence will speak so loudly that the world will have no choice but to notice without you saying a word. Let's begin with the first principle. Silence keeps you focused. Let me share a story. A friend of mine once made a bold declaration. With beaming eyes, he said, "From tomorrow, I'm waking up at 5 a.m. every day. I'll work out, read for an hour, study investing, and meditate every morning for 15 minutes." He was buzzing with excitement. He shared it with friends, wrote it on sticky notes, even posted it publicly on Facebook like it was a sacred contract. Week 1, nailed it. Week 2, he was struggling. By week 3, he stopped mentioning it altogether. A month later, the goal had disappeared like smoke in the wind. No one mocked him. No one even asked. But he felt crushed. Not because he didn't try, but because he had shared too loudly, too confidently, too soon. Stoicism calls this the trap of the ego, the illusion that saying something is the same as doing it. When your dreams become announcements, your mind can drift into performance mode. Your focus shifts from execution to attention. Each compliment becomes a distraction. Each doubt from others becomes a barrier. You say you're learning to invest suddenly. Your brain tricks you into believing you've already arrived. You're no longer striving. You've jumped to the destination mentally, but not physically. A powerful study by Peter Gowitzer at New York University confirmed this exact phenomenon. When people publicly announce their goals, they're significantly less likely to follow through. Why? Because just talking about it gives the brain a false reward, a dopamine hit. It feels like progress without a single step taken. Picture this. You're building a cabin in the woods. With every brick you lay, you sprint out to tell the world, "Look, I'm building." You'll never get past the foundation. But if you stay focused, stack each brick in silence, one day you'll open your door, and the finished home will speak for itself. We do this all the time. You decide to eat clean, hit the gym, and get serious about your health. What's the first move? You post a selfie on day 1. A week later, more updates, flexing in the mirror, but your body hasn't changed. Why? Because your attention has moved outward. You're living in the eyes of others instead of in the effort. Your mind's performing progress, not pursuing it. That's why it's time to adopt a new mindset. One that trades applause for alignment, noise for discipline, ego for endurance. And that brings us to the next lesson, one that might surprise you. Silence also keeps you humble. Let's dive deeper. We've already seen how silence sharpens your focus. Now, let's take it further because silence also humbles you, and that humility is what keeps your growth grounded. For the first 30 days of your journey, no social media posts, no status updates, no humble brags. Keep it sacred, private, just you, a pen, and a small notebook. Each day, write one single line by hand. Did it. That's it. No grand explanation, no applause. No need to prove anything to anyone but yourself. Have you ever paused to truly ask yourself, am I doing this for the outcome or for the appearance of trying? Am I actually taking action or just replaying the idea of action in my head like a comforting movie on loop? Once you're brutally honest with your answers, something becomes clear. Silence is not just absence of noise. It's a shield that protects your energy from leaking into distractions. A force that redirects your fire away from external validation and back into your own hands. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic minds, wrote, "Don't waste what's left of your life speculating about others unless it's for mutual benefit." It's a simple line, but it holds a profound command. Stop performing. Stop explaining. Stop seeking to be seen unless your words are building something of true value. So speak less, act more, explain less, understand more. Each morning, before the world touches your mind, write down just one task, single action that moves you closer to your goal. But tell no one. When the day ends, ask yourself one question. Did I do it? If the answer is no, don't spiral into guilt. Just begin again tomorrow. But stay quiet. That simple practice will silence your lips and awaken your will. No big declarations, no dramatic changes. Just quiet, consistent effort. And yes, it will feel lonely. There will be days when your hard work echoes into the void, unnoticed. But that's the test. That very loneliness. That unseen effort. It's the furnace that forges unstoppable willpower. Can you keep going when there's no audience? Do you want the actual result or just the recognition that comes with it? Because here's what you'll eventually discover. You don't need anyone to validate your journey. What matters, the only thing that ever matters, is doing the work. And that leads us to the second core principle. No need for recognition. It's an uncomfortable truth, but one worth admitting. Most people don't act just to finish. They act to be praised. They clean the kitchen, hoping for a thank you. They help someone and wait for a shout out on social media. They try learning something new, but give up when no one notices. It's not laziness, it's conditioning. Most people are so used to being watched that when no one's there, they stop moving. The motivation disappears with the audience. But if you want to go far, truly far, you need to become someone who keeps walking, even in the silence. Recognition. It's like sugar. Sweet, addictive, but nutritionally empty. It spikes your ego, but leaves your spirit hungry. Yes, it feels good when someone says well done, but if that becomes the reason you act, you're not doing things for growth, you're doing them for applause. Suddenly, writing isn't about the story anymore. It's about the likes. Learning isn't about discovery, it's about collecting certificates. You trade your passion for performance. You become a spotlight chaser, only shining when someone's watching. But then there are the quiet legends, like Amelia Earhart, the first woman to fly solo across the Atlantic. She didn't shout about it. She didn't promote herself. She didn't need an audience. She just flew, and that single silent act etched her name into the skies of history. Or take Grigory Perelman, the brilliant Russian mathematician who solved the Poincare conjecture, one of the most difficult mathematical problems of the century. He didn't claim a prize. He didn't seek fame. He simply solved it and walked away. And from these quiet giants, we learn one powerful truth. Real achievement doesn't need recognition now. Let's explore the next truth that can shape your life: how silence builds discipline. As we just saw, real achievement doesn't need to be witnessed to be meaningful. It doesn't crave recognition, And that brings us to an even deeper realization. The most powerful actions often happen in complete silence. Grigory Perelman, the genius mathematician who solved one of the most complex problems of the century, was showered with global praise, prestigious awards, large sums of money, invitations to the highest scientific forums all at his feet. But he declined it all. No press conferences, no interviews, no celebrations. He simply turned away. Why? Because he wasn't seeking validation. He wasn't chasing fame. He solved the problem because the pursuit of truth was enough. People like him remind us of something powerful. They don't need the spotlight. They are the light. Now take a moment and reflect. How many dreams have you let go of just because no one noticed you were trying? How many goals have you delayed, not because you couldn't do them, but because no one clapped when you started? When your motivation relies on attention, you're giving others control over your life's direction. It's like handing the wheel to someone who doesn't even know where you're going. You must learn to move forward, even when no one sees you, even when no one says a word. It's not glamorous. Doing meaningful things without applause can feel boring, even pointless at times. But look closely. What if the most meaningful progress always happens this way? Think of roots burrowing silently through soil. They create the strength a tree needs to withstand storms, yet no one sees them. Think of water. It wears down solid rock not with force, but with persistence. A single drop, again and again. Think of mastery. It isn't loud. It's made in quiet corners, where no cameras are rolling. That's the nature of real transformation. It doesn't beg for attention. It grows patiently unseen, but unstoppable. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. Don't explain it. Don't perform it. Just live it. Let your life speak, not your lips." Here's a technique that may seem small, but it builds massive internal power. Each time you accomplish something, whether it's finishing a workout, completing a chapter, or taking a courageous step, don't post about it. Don't tell anyone. Just write one sentence. I did it. That's all. This single line, repeated daily, is like placing a stone in the foundation of your inner fortress. Over time, that quiet habit builds a wall within you unseen by the world, unbreakable by circumstance. And here's something you'll begin to notice. The quiet ones, those who don't brag, don't show off, don't broadcast every move often, carry the most momentum. They don't need noise to make an impact. When they act, it matters because their silence has been their sharpening stone. When you no longer need praise, you become powerful in a new way, untouchable, not because you're invincible, but because you're grounded in purpose, not popularity. And if you've felt even a flicker of recognition in these words, then you're not alone. You're on the same path. This channel isn't about quick wins or viral moments. It's about walking with you step by step, thought by thought, action by quiet action, towards something lasting. So next time you finish something real, something that mattered to you, try this. Keep it to yourself. Let it live quietly in your chest. Watch what happens when you no longer need to be seen, but still choose to rise. That's what it means to be stoic. That's what it means to be free. Now, let's move into the third truth, one that often hides in plain sight. Progress, real progress, is private. Previously, we uncovered the quiet strength behind those who progress without praise. Now, let's bring that philosophy to life through the story of someone who chose action over attention. Michael, 38 years old, was an Uber driver in San Diego. Before the pandemic, he made just enough to get by. But when COVID-19 hit, his income dropped to almost nothing. He had no college degree, no high-demand skill, no backup plan, and no fancy side hustle. He could have given up. Instead, something unexpected sparked a new path. One day, after dropping off a software engineer, a casual conversation piqued Michael's interest. Coding. That sounded interesting. But instead of telling people about this new curiosity, he kept it to himself. No announcement, no life update on social media. he quietly decided to explore it. He turned to free YouTube tutorials. He searched online forums, downloaded free ebooks, and began teaching himself the basics on an old, barely functioning laptop. Each morning, he got up early to drive. In the evenings, after hours on the road, he studied line by line. Weekends were for building small mock projects apps that no one would see but him. Still, he didn't post a thing. No Instagram stories about the grind, no inspirational quotes, no complaining about how hard it was. For nearly a full year, he simply worked in silence. Then, without making a fuss, Michael applied to a small startup, with no formal education, but plenty of real skill, built in private. He was hired as a junior developer. The salary wasn't extravagant, but it was 3 times what he made driving. Friends and family were stunned. "Why didn't you tell us?" they asked. Michael smiled and said, "Because I needed to learn, not perform." And in that sentence lies a powerful lesson. You can be Michael, but only if you're ready to let go of something heavy, the need to be seen. The paradox is clear. The more you crave recognition, the less energy you have left to get good. The more you talk about your goals, the less likely you are to follow through. Why? Because your brain feels rewarded just for saying it, tricked into thinking you've already taken action. That's why silence matters, not because it hides you, but because it protects your momentum. Picture this: you're pushing a car up a steep hill. Every time you pause to look around, check who's watching you stop moving, momentum dies. You stay stuck halfway. But if you keep your head down and just push, eventually you'll reach the top. And when you do, you won't need anyone else to tell you you'll know. I did it. Even ancient texts echo this idea. The Bible says, "But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." It's not about secrecy, it's about sincerity, about doing what's right, not for attention, but to become who you are meant to be. Now, maybe you're wondering, but why does it still feel so empty when no one sees my effort? That's a fair question, and it's one that reveals something deeper. That emptiness you feel isn't a flaw. It's the fertile space where transformation begins. A space free from judgment, comparison, and the pressure to impress. And the beautiful irony: when you start changing in silence, people eventually notice, not because you posted about it, not because you told them, but because your actions, your consistency, your growth hit becomes visible in who you are. They'll ask, "What have you been doing differently?" And with a calm smile, you'll say, "I just did what I had to do." No fanfare, no need to prove anything, just quiet truth. So if you feel like complaining, you're thinking, "Why hasn't anyone noticed how hard I've worked?" Pause. Complaining won't build what you're trying to create. And in the next part, that's exactly what we'll address. Because it's time to stop circling the same frustrations and start stepping into something more powerful. Coming up next, number 4, no complaints, just action. In the last part, we faced an uncomfortable truth. Complaining doesn't move you forward. It drains your power. Now, let's go deeper into why and how to break the cycle. Yes, it feels satisfying in the moment. Letting out a groan, venting your frustration, but just like scratching an itch can turn a tiny irritation into a painful wound. Constant complaining does the same to your spirit. Slowly, subtly, it eats away at your mental strength. Have you ever noticed this? The people who complain the most are often the ones doing the least to change their situation. They pour their energy into words instead of solutions. And strangely, the more they talk about their problems, the bigger those problems seem to grow. It's as if each complaint adds air to the balloon of stress until it feels ready to burst. I once stood in an elevator with a young woman. She glanced at the floor numbers, rolled her eyes, and muttered, "Why is this taking forever?" I checked the time. We'd been waiting for less than 20 seconds. If she had spent those seconds stretching her shoulders, taking a calming breath, or simply standing still and observing the moment, Shamita felt fine. But instead, she defaulted to frustration, like many of us do. So ask yourself honestly, how often do you fall into that same trap? Cursing at traffic, sighing about a slow-loading screen, muttering about the heat, the noise, the people. Do these reactions ever change anything? Stoicism teaches one crystal clear lesson. If something is outside your control, don't let it control you. Complaining is like sitting in your car during a traffic jam and leaning on the horn and stop. The noise grows, your irritation spreads, but the car doesn't move an inch. You just end up angry, drained, and still stuck. What if instead, you turned off the horn? You adjusted your seat, checked your route, put on music that lifts your mood. That one small shift in focus could change everything. Not the situation, but your state of mind. Every time you feel frustrated, it's a sign that you're bumping up against something you can't fully control. And in those moments, you have two choices. Spend your energy resisting it or redirect your focus to what you can control. Think back to the last time you complained about work. Did anything actually change? Did your boss become more reasonable? Did your assignment magically get easier? Or did you just leave the moment feeling more helpless than before? It's a tough question, but it reveals the truth. Complaining makes you feel busy while doing nothing. But here's a better approach. Describe the situation without emotion, then take a step, even a small one, toward solving it. Instead of saying, I hate this task, try asking, how can I complete this more efficiently? Or, what skill would make this easier next time? Take a moment right now. Think back over the last 24 hours. How many times did you complain? And of those, how many were about things completely out of your control? That number doesn't just reflect your mood. It tells you something deeper. It's a measure of how much mental energy you've wasted not on progress, but on noise. Every complaint is a decision to stay where you are, instead of stepping forward. And remember, truly strong people aren't the ones who never get tired or never struggle. They're the ones who feel it all and still stay silent. Still keep moving. No complaints, no spotlight. Just them, their focus, and the path ahead. Their silence isn't weakness. It's power. It's a firm decision. I'm not here to be a victim. I'm here to move. If you're still with us now, that means you've already chosen the harder path. The higher path. You didn't click away or give up halfway. You stayed, you listened. And more importantly, you're ready to act. Now it's time for the next piece of inner strength, one that every Stoic lives by. Coming up next, number 5, control what you can. Because the moment you open your phone in the morning, the world tries to control your mind. But what if you could take that control back? In the last section, we discovered the power of shifting your energy from complaints to action. Now, we turn to the next core Stoic truth: focus only on what you can control, because everything else is draining your life without permission. Why do you feel so exhausted, yet like you're going nowhere? It's not just because you're doing too much. It's because you're trying to control things that were never yours to control in the first place. You're playing in someone else's game while neglecting your own. That's the trap, and the Stoics called it out thousands of years ago. One of the most practical, brutally honest pieces of advice they offer is this: only worry about what is within your control, not because it's a noble virtue, but because it's the only path to peace, the only way to live without drowning in constant frustration. Take a look around your life. How many of your current stresses are rooted in things that aren't even your fault? Your boss drops a last-minute deadline. A client changes their mind after you've already finished the job. You planned a big day outside, but the weather decides to rain instead of shine. You can't change any of those things, but you can choose how you respond. A friend of mine once went through a brutal week after seeing a photo of his ex with someone new. Just a photo, but it shattered him. He stopped eating, skipped his workouts, and floated through work like a ghost. I asked him one question: can you control who she loves? He said, no. So why? I said, are you letting her decisions decide your emotions? It's a hard truth, but a freeing one. Think about traffic. To people, Same jam. One is screaming at the wheel, fists clenched, stress exploding. The other, calm, windows down, music playing, same external world, completely different internal experience. Why? Because one is ruled by reaction, the other is ruled by choice. The Stoics aren't telling you to be emotionless or hard as stone. They're telling you to be smart about where your mind goes, smart about where your attention lives. You can't move the clouds, but you can bring an umbrella. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Let that sink in. Freedom isn't about escaping struggle. It's about refusing to be ruled by it. So, tomorrow morning, instead of diving into social media, watching highlight reels of everyone else's lives, pause. Spend 10 quiet minutes writing down 3 simple actions that belong to you. Drink enough water. Finish one small task on your to-do list. Move your body for 15 minutes. Small, yes, but they're yours. And when you finish them, something shifts. You feel in charge again. You stop drifting. You start steering. Thomas Edison understood this better than most. When a fire burned down his entire laboratory, his life's work went up in flames. His son rushed over, expecting devastation. Instead, Edison said calmly, "Go get your mother and her friends. They'll never see a fire like this again." He lost almost everything, but he didn't waste time mourning what was already gone. He started rebuilding, because the fire wasn't in his control. But his response, that was his dot. And when you start doing the same, focusing only on what's yours, and unexpected thing happens. You feel lighter, more effective, more peaceful, because you've stopped wasting emotional fuel on battles that don't belong to you. Like a rower who can't calm the river, but can master the oar. You find your rhythm in motion, not resistance. Try this. The next time frustration rises, stop for 5 seconds. Ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, let it go. If the answer is yes, act. Now, here's one final question for today. How much of your daily energy are you spending on things you can't control? Be honest. That answer reveals more than your habits. It reveals your future. If you want to change, begin small. Choose one thing each day. That's 100% yours to own. No excuses. No blame. Quietly, steadily, repeatedly. But there's a dangerous habit waiting to undo all your progress. One that sneaks in just when you're starting to feel better. It's when you glance at someone else and whisper, "Why am I not there yet?" That single thought can unravel everything. And that brings us to the next powerful truth. Number 6. No comparison, just growth. Because in today's world, comparison is everywhere. But is it helping you or holding you back? Let's find out in the next part. In the last part, we asked a powerful question. How much of your energy is wasted on things beyond your control? Now, let's take the next step, because even if you stop chasing control, there's still one sneaky habit that can quietly drain your focus. Comparison. And maybe, just maybe, the reason your mind feels unsettled isn't because you're not doing enough. It's because you're looking in the wrong direction. Instead of tracking your own growth, you've started measuring your worth using someone else's scoreboard. So the real question is this: are you actually living your life for competing in a race you never agreed to run? Stoicism doesn't say, stop trying. It doesn't ask you to give up on ambition. What it offers instead is a radical shift in mindset. Grow, but don't measure your growth against anyone else. Strive, but not to prove, because comparison is a lie in disguise. It's a warped mirror that twists your self-image to fit someone else's reflection. It doesn't tell you the truth. It distorts it. What you see when you compare is not accuracy, but illusion. Let me tell you a story that captures this perfectly. Paul was just an ordinary chef. In New York, he wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't wealthy. His name didn't appear in food magazines or restaurant rankings. But Paul had one quiet obsession: sourdough bread. While his peers were opening restaurants, chasing Michelin stars, and landing write-ups in trendy food blogs. Paul stayed behind the scenes. He spent 3 years studying fermentation, refining his dough recipe, testing oven temperatures at 3 a.m. when the city was asleep. People mocked him. "Why are you acting like some artisan baker in the age of machines?" They laughed. But Paul didn't defend himself. He didn't argue. He didn't pivot to match their pace. He just kept going. Then, one day without warning, photo went viral. A loaf of sourdough with a golden brown crust, perfectly cracked surface, and an airy texture like a cloud. The caption read, "Best sourdough in Brooklyn." The baker, Paul, the same guy who worked in silence, the same guy who never rushed, never competed, just followed his own rhythm. Paul's story isn't shared to make you feel good. It's a challenge, a slap to the illusion that you need to know how far behind you are just to get ahead. You don't. You only need to know one thing. Where were you yesterday? And what step did you take today? That's enough. So next time you feel yourself spiraling into comparison, do something simple but powerful. Place your hand on your chest and ask quietly, whose life am I living today? If the answer isn't mine, then you already know what to do. Pull your focus back, come home to yourself. Here's one quick habit that can break the comparison trap in real time. Silence the scroll. The moment your thumb itches to tap on another story, to check in on someone else's life, pause. Just for 10 seconds. Not to meditate, not to perform, but to ask, is this helping me live better? If the answer is no, stop. Put the phone down. Drink a glass of water. Read one page. Write down one honest thought. Do one thing that belongs to you. Because every time you choose action over distraction, you win quietly, powerfully, without needing approval. Another powerful tool. A progress log. Each night, before sleep, don't ask, did I beat anyone? Instead ask, was I better than I was yesterday? Did you read one more page? Did you show restraint when you wanted to? Lash out. Did you move your body, even a little? These don't earn likes. They don't go viral. But they build something unshakably, your inner foundation. Because once you stop being pulled by the loudness of the outside world, you start hearing something more valuable. Your own voice. Not loud, not rushed, not anxious, but calm, centered. Yours. Remember this. Real progress doesn't shout. It doesn't beg for attention. It reveals itself slowly through change, not noise. And when you stop comparing, you begin seeing the truth more clearly. You stop being dragged around by highlight reels and start building something real. Quietly, every day. And now, once you've grounded yourself in your own journey, it's time to talk about the next challenge. Mastering your emotions. Because emotional control is not about suppressing how you feel, it's about directing your energy wisely. Coming up next. Number 7. Master. Don't show emotions. Let me tell you a story that unfolded at a coffee shop where silence revealed strength. In the last section, we explored how real growth comes when you stop comparing and start listening to your own voice. Now, we move to the next piece of inner mastery, learning to control your emotions, rather than letting them control you. I remember sitting in a coffee shop one afternoon, the kind of place where the clinking of mugs and soft chatter make time feel slower. At the table beside me, a couple sat in silence that quickly turned stormy. The girl's eyes were filled with tears, shimmering and ready to spill over. The guy, red-faced and furious, slammed his palm on the table so hard that even a waiter 3 tables away flinched. It wasn't about love anymore. It was about winning an argument, proving a point. And as I watched, I couldn't help but ask myself, who's in control here? Are they steering their emotions, or are their emotions steering them? In today's world, many confuse emotional outbursts with authenticity. They believe being real means expressing every thought, every impulse, every frustration the moment it arrives. But true authenticity isn't about unloading every emotion like a spilled bag of groceries. It's about awareness, intention, and choice. It's about knowing what you think, understanding what you feel, and choosing the best way to express it. It's like owning a speaker. Cranking the volume to the max doesn't make the music better, makes it distorted. Sometimes, it's the softest notes that draw people in. Lowering the volume helps others really listen. Emotional control isn't suppression, it's precision. It's the wisdom to know when to speak and when to wait. How to respond with clarity instead of impulse. A boss who reacts instantly in anger may yell at employees, only to apologize hours later. A mother overwhelmed at dinner might burst into tears not because of something big, but because her child eats too slowly. These aren't evil reactions, but they are moments where emotion has taken the wheel. The Stoics didn't suppress what they felt. They observed. They reflected. Then they responded with clarity and purpose. That's what gave them strength, not superhuman coldness, but emotional discipline. Epictetus said it simply: keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your own concern, and be clear that what belongs to others is their business, not yours. The emotions of others, their business. The chaos of the world, it's going to happen, but your reactions, that's your territory. That's where your power lives. And if you don't guard the gate to your emotions, who will? Imagine a city bus driver during rush hour. He's navigating traffic, dealing with impatient passengers, honking cars, and constant pressure. If he absorbed every glare or rude comment, he wouldn't make it halfway through his route before breaking down. But he doesn't. He keeps going, quiet, focused. Just because people are angry doesn't mean you have to be. Just because someone is rude doesn't mean you must mirror them. That's Stoicism. Steady hands on the wheel, even when the road shakes. Here's something most people don't realize. The more you express every emotion immediately, the more power you give away. If people know exactly what makes you angry, they can trigger it. If your sadness is always visible, they may use it. But if you observe your emotions, understand them before expressing, you remain grounded, untouchable, powerful. Some believe venting is therapeutic, that yelling or crying on impulse brings relief. But think about it. How many times have you exploded in anger, only to feel regret afterward? Emotions aren't pressured to be released like steam from a pipe. They're more like delicate items, wrapped, layered, and meant to be handled carefully. Like precious gifts, they deserve attention and care. There's a line from Proverbs that always stuck with me. Even fools are thought wise if they keep silent, and discerning if they hold their tongues. You don't always need to respond. Sometimes, the strongest move is stillness. And if you want to start mastering this practice, here's one powerful, simple habit. Pause for 3 seconds before reacting. When someone annoys you, challenges you, or tries to get a rise out of you, breathe. Just 3 seconds. That space. That's your power. That's where your mastery begins. And as we continue forward, it's time to turn our focus towards something even deeper. The daily discipline of action. Not bursts of effort, but a quiet, relentless rhythm. Coming up next, number 8. Consistency over intensity. Because your future isn't built by what you do once, but what you repeat with intention. Previously, we discovered the quiet power of emotional control, how pausing for just 3 seconds before reacting can shift your entire day. Now, we move to another pillar of Stoic strength, letting your results speak louder than your words. It starts in those 3 seconds. That space between stimulus and response. Ask yourself, is this worth losing my calm over? 9 times out of 10, the answer is a quiet no. And in that moment, you win. You don't just survive the situation, you stay in control. Still behind the wheel, still steering your life with clarity. Because anyone can stay calm when life is smooth. But true mastery, that's when you remain composed. After being insulted, when you're misunderstood, when you're cornered but choose not to react. That's when calm becomes your personal signature, not a performance, but a practice. Let your composure be your trademark. Not for attention, not for applause, just for you. Because deep down, you'll know. And that pride, the quiet kind, the kind that comes from keeping yourself grounded is stronger than any external praise. If this message hits home, maybe pause right now and hit like, not for me, but as a personal promise to yourself. From now on, I choose my reactions. I don't let habit dictate them. That's freedom. That's power. And now, we move into another lesson. Number 8. Let results talk. There's a kind of person who enters a room and doesn't need to say a word. No dramatic entrances. No long speeches. Yet everyone around them knows they get things done. Why? Because their results do the talking. Think of a tree. It doesn't shout when it's growing. It doesn't post updates each day. It stretches toward the sun. But when the season is right, the fruit appears undeniable, visible, powerful. Everyone looks up. Not because the tree demanded attention, but because it became something worth noticing. In a world obsessed with showing the process, a story after reading 5 pages, filming every workout after 3 days in the gym, choosing to stay silent and move forward quietly is revolutionary. Stoicism doesn't teach you to hide from the world. It doesn't say become invisible, but it does teach one thing with crystal clarity. Noise doesn't build anything. Results do. Epictetus wrote, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." In other words, don't talk about your values. Live them. Be the proof. Let your work be your resume. Let your actions be your argument. Ask yourself, are you living like that, or are you using words to fill the space where action should be? Life shows us endless examples of this truth. A skilled builder isn't the one who talks endlessly about technique. He's the one whose wall stands tall when the storm comes. A devoted mother doesn't beg for recognition, but her child, warm, safe, well-fed, is the living evidence of her love. And yet, so many of us chase validation before we've built anything to be validated. We crave recognition before we've produced results. That hunger for applause often steals the energy we need to create real value. So here's a challenge. Work in silence for 6 months. No complaining, no posting, no justifying, just consistent effort. And then, look back. You'll likely be stunned by what changes. When you stop chasing validation, your focus sharpens. When you stop explaining, you start finishing. Your work becomes cleaner, your results stronger. Like an arrow, silent, sleek, and aimed with purpose. But make no mistake, this isn't easy. The world today is loud. Social media turns every task into a potential performance. We're pressured to share, to go viral, to be seen. But the truth is, if you want real strength, build in silence. Learn to create without needing to broadcast. To grow without applause. To rise without asking permission. Think of Nikola Tesla, one of the greatest minds in history. He worked quietly, in near isolation, while others sought headlines. He sought solutions. Few knew his name while he was alive, but today, the world runs on his legacy. He didn't need a spotlight. His results made the light. And as we transition into the final insight, remember this. Real success doesn't need noise. It leaves a mark all by itself. Now, let's complete this journey with a final principle. Number 9. Live like it's already within you. Because the strongest version of you might not be out there somewhere. It might already be here waiting to be lived. In the last section, we explored the quiet power of letting your results speak louder than your words. Now comes the final, and perhaps most personal question of all. What are you really working for? Ask yourself honestly. Are you working to build something real, or just working to be seen as someone who works hard? There's a subtle but massive difference between the two. One leads to progress. The other traps you in a loop of appearances. Because when your effort is tied to being seen, it becomes performative. But when your effort is rooted in purpose, you start to see yourself more clearly, not through the lens of approval, but through the quiet satisfaction of real growth. So pause. Right now, you've come this far, which already says something about you. Turn off your phone. Look around. Look at your current space, your desk, your room, wherever you are. Then ask yourself, if I worked in complete silence for just 90 days, What area of my life would transform? Would it be your health, your discipline, your craft, your confidence? If you found yourself constantly talking about goals but rarely following through, don't beat yourself up. Don't sink into guilt. Instead, start small. Pick one thing. Learning a language, improving your writing, getting in shape, starting a project, and set one simple rule. Don't tell anyone. Not until the results begin to speak for themselves. No announcements. No I'm back posts. No hint drops. Just effort. Quiet, consistent effort. Nobody needs to know what you're preparing for. But when your time comes, the world will notice. Just like a blade forged in fire, quiet. Unseen until one clean strike in battle earns instant respect. So ask yourself this. Do you want to be remembered for the noise of your words, or for the quiet impact of your results? Choose. If you choose results, then make this your new mantra. From this moment on, I work in silence. Don't show off the seed. Nurture it. Water it daily. Let it root deep into your character. And when the season arrives, your tree will bloom. The world will see. No explanation. No loud declarations. The outcome will say everything. We've now walked through 8 timeless principles, not just catchy lines, but quiet truths that build the foundation of lasting growth. Each one has offered a clear reminder. Act. Don't perform. Persist. Don't complain. Focus on what's yours. Let your work be your voice. You don't need to push yourself to be inspirational. Just live honestly. That's enough. In a world overflowing with noise, what it's missing is you, the steady one, the grounded one, the one who doesn't say much. But when they move, people pay attention. You don't need to announce that you're changing. Just start today. Live more quietly. Focus more deeply. Take full ownership of your path. Because the long road, it's not meant for the loud. It's built for the ones who walk it in silence, step by patient step. And if something in this message struck a chord, even one part helped you feel more centered, more rooted, leave a comment below. Let me know where you are in your journey, and if you're ready to keep exploring how to live with depth, clarity, and quiet strengths. To the channel. This road won't be easy, but you don't have to walk it alone.